sat
Here
yesterday.
Oh, he did it yesterday? I knew we were going
Guys, this is Paul Gardner, in case you don't know him, from Berwyn. We're going to start from the beginning with Blue Card Command, because a lot of us didn't get last time. We need some refresher. The Chiefs also have been sitting in on this so that they get a refresher and they get started with it also. Not very long today. We're just going to start with the basics and move on from there. Paul?
Hi guys, Paul Gardner, Berwyn. I've been there 33 years now. Shift chief on this shift, 6 years. We're basically the same thing you guys are. No, there's no difference. This all started basically back in 2010. I was at the Valentine's Day fire. I was in the back end of the building, according to the contract, the way it was written. I don't come as a chief at that time. I came as a back stepper. So I was working in the back. I broke my leg. I was off for some time. Oh no. From that situation, like I said, we're the same situation you guys are. Offensive, defensive going on at the exact same time. People not knowing what was going on. We decided something had to change. My chief said, you know what, we got to figure something out here. So Sammy Molinaro saw the Brunacini thing going on. They said, why don't I go to see what it was like. Signed up for the class, went out to Orland in December of 2010, went through the class. I brought it back. Our chiefs all went through it then. They said, okay, before we can even implement this thing, because we learned from Orland, what Orland ended up doing is they sent their chiefs through it and then automatically started using it, which you know how change goes in the fire service. It went bad, real bad. So we learned from that. We wrote new SOPs. We took the blue card and adapted it to Berwyn. So we took some stuff, we didn't take other stuff. We decided what we're going to do is we're going to teach this over 4 months, and we did it. We just kept on working at it. We said, you know, come June 1st, we're adopting it. It starts June 1st. There was a lot of pushback at first. We had lieutenants that said, you know, it's not my job to decide what's going on. You're the chief, you pull up, you decide what's going on. And the buy-in, basically how we got it was, if I don't make it there, first of all, who's going to run the fire? Secondly, the first lieutenant that's on the scene gives a description, goes into play. Don't you want to have the guys that are coming in helping you, not just doing whatever they want to do? You know, say the first engine gets on the scene, he's dropping line, he's having a hard time getting into the building. Well, normally the truck goes to the roof. The truck just goes to the roof, or the truck starts venting. Well, you don't want the thing vented yet because it's not helping what yours going on. So basically, that's where we got some buy-in. So it's going to be, I got a couple fires on here, and what we do is after every fire, we take our audio tape. We replay it, we look at it, point out the good, and not the bad, but where we can look at better. I always look at it this way. I either start out with good or end with good. So I'm the first one to critique my own, and I'll tell you stuff in that one fire that we'll play where the 3 houses were going on the south side where I screwed up. I mean, this was like 6 months into it. But the reason I bring that one up too is there's further into the program, as I show you, there's going to be a point to where we change our SOPs and they're dynamic because of a problem that occurred at this fire. Just to show you, this is one of the first ones that they show whenever they started off in Orland. These are the different things that are causing the top line of duties. There's also the NIOSH 5. The NIOSH 5 is like I said, I'm not going to read all the PowerPoints, guys. You can read them. I want to get through this real fast for you. It's cold out there, so you can get out of there, and then you can browbeat me after I'm gone. This one's put up here basically. Instant command system, whether you like blue card, you don't like Brunacini's or that, we're not calling it, technically it's called blue card, but we're just calling it incident command system. It's ended freelancing. It's ended unnecessary radio traffic. It's also put guys in the rigs waiting till they're assigned. And the point of bringing up the freelancing on this one is a fire. I'm gonna speed into it a little bit. There's supposed to be a woman, elderly woman in the first floor of this building. 360 is not done on this building. And I'm gonna show you why we're forcing guys to do 360s. If they're not, they have to report that 360 is done. 360 is not done on this building, and the fire's, well, I'll just play it instead of just talking about it. There's no audio on this either. Okay, so as a cameraman comes around, in the importance of the 360, I know we don't have any buildings like this. But here, you've gotta walk out in the back, so really, it's a walkout with a first floor, it's not a two-story. So you've got guys inside looking for a person right now, you got fire rolling in the basement, and it's vented, and you got smoke venting on the second floor, or the first floor, sorry. Now, without the 360 done, you have nobody in the back watching what's going on. By us, we got our paramedic service back. Hopefully you guys get it back soon too. We got the young guys on there. Young guy's gonna go around, what's he gonna wanna do? He thinks he's helping, so he's breaking windows. I'm not saying this is a real young guy, but look what he's doing. Vents all the windows on the first floor. You got guys inside, they did get out, but guess what's gonna happen? Woof.
Yep.
The whole thing's taken off. And it's more or less, I know Brian's done it with the fire behavior and coordinated attack, but it's freelancing. It's gonna end up killing somebody someday, or not someday, it has killed people. And like I've told my guys, I don't ever want NIOSH here. Like I say, that's ended basically the freelancing by us. If somebody is freelancing, then there's basically hell to be paid. The incident command language, and what we're looking for guys to understand, is the SHOPS model. SHOPS model is when you first pull up to the scene. It's the size, height, occupancy problem, and the strategy that you're doing. Size, like I said, I'm just gonna touch on this a little bit, and then we'll go into it as I hit the other, the other PowerPoint. Follow-up report. After the first engine gets there, it gives his size up. Anything that changes on a 360, or he can't do the 360, he calls dispatch back and gives a follow-up report. This stuff's important, one, for the companies that are coming in, two, the chief that's coming in. Instead of like, I mean, we all did it. I did it when I first got on too. We're on the scene, we got a fire. No shit. I can see the smoke from half a mile away. I know you got a fire. What's going on? Divisions. Division 11, it's basically, I hate to say it, and I hate to say it, but it's NIMS, Sector Division Group. This division went with divisions. And the reason they went with divisions is because if ever in the future, NIMS, really starts going after things, divisions falls within the guidelines. So basically we've got, question? No. Okay. So you get divisions, Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, circling around the building, floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, basement. IC1 is the first officer on the scene. And like I said, this is how we're doing it there. It's set up in the Division 11 SOPs this way. How you guys eventually set your SOPs up, that's up to your department. But IC1 is the first officer on the scene. He's in charge. He'll get on the scene, give his description, he's command. Where we're at over there, like I said, I'm gonna refer back to west of Lombard because that's the only thing I got, is our first engine gets on the scene. If they've got smoke on the second floor, say for a pot burn on the stove, that engine officer is in charge. He runs the entire scene. I get there, I don't do nothing. I just get on the scene, he's running it. And what we saw is, what's the purpose of him calling me to tell the truck to get a fan and take the fan to the second floor, if he can solve the entire problem. So he just runs command, he calls a truck, boom, 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 I'm just a helper there. Same thing with alarms. The lieutenant gets on the scene, he's got an alarm off in the building, he runs the entire show. It cuts down radio traffic, everything flows a lot smoother instead of all the radio traffic going back and forth, trying to figure out who's in charge. IC2. IC2 is the chief that's arriving on the scene. This shift, when Dom's working, it'd be Dom. If the situation dictates it, Dom takes it over from IC1 or lieutenant that's running this incident. Working fire, any fire, IC2 takes command away from IC1 because that first in officer has enough going on by himself. Transfer of command we're going to talk about. Basically what you're looking for when you transfer command. So there's an even flow and then back to dispatch. One, you want to let dispatch know when there's a transfer of command for record, and two, everybody knows that there's a transfer of command, like dispatch repeating it. Well, back when there was CAN report. CAN report, no, I'm just going to go back. CAN reports. We've been at this now for 3 years. We've been at this now for 3 years. We're getting better with CAN reports. I basically call them CA reports. Everybody will give me what the condition and the actions are, but they won't tell me what their needs are. If they don't tell me what their needs are, I'll ask them what their needs are. But we're getting better at it. Basically, you get up, when I ask for a CAN report, or that company calls me with a CAN report, he's telling me what the situation is, what he's doing to try to alleviate the problem, and what his needs are, even if he doesn't have any needs. You'd be surprised, once the CAN reports start going, guys, that, yeah, we got heavy smoke, we're still looking for the fire, and then that officer will think, you know what, I could use another line up here, or I could use some help up here, and he'll call for help. In the past, it was just, screw it, we're just gonna keep on working as we are, we're fine. Shops model, size, how big is the building? Everything's based off of 175 feet of line. It's basically, what they found is how much air could get you in and get you out. I mean, we all do the consumption tests, you're probably looking 20 minutes, half hour, some guys somehow can do 40 minutes. But in all reality, what are we at? Anywhere between 8 to 15 maybe, and you're only good as your not weakest guy, but the lowest guy that can breathe. So basically that's what we're talking, in and out of the building. Height of the building, how many stories is it? Occupancy, single family, multifamily, commercial. And the problem, I've got nothing showing. I've got fire showing, I got smoke showing from the Alpha or Bravo side. We'll talk about this more as we go into it, but telling just that kind of stuff can tell you everything that's going on. And the strategy. Am I investigating? Am I offensive or am I defensive? You can't be offensive and defensive at the same time. Get somebody that pulls up, they say they're going offensive, and then the next companies pull up and they see him standing outside with the line, things aren't jiving here. Or he says he's going defensive and they're going into the building. Follow-up report. We're having our officers do 360s. If they can't do a 360, then we're telling them they have to say on the radio, 360 is not done. 360 is very important, very important. And like I said, I can tell you, I didn't do a 360 on a two-story one time. We come there for water coming through the first floor. We can't find out what the heck's going on. They send the company up to the second floor. They find smoke. And this is the very beginning of it. Me being chief, if I'd have done the 360, I mean, the fire was out basically, but I would have seen the windows in the back of the building with smoke. So it's my own lesson. I learned the hard way. We said it burned the building down. And yes, I do have a couple parts. What can be seen on the 360? Fire in the rear of the building that you didn't see on the first arrival. Or maybe you're looking at, you get there, you got nothing showing, back of the building's blazing. Are there people hanging out of the building? I'm sure you guys have had it. Pull up on the scene, all of a sudden there's people out the back end of the building. Nobody does a 360, when's this going to be found? Are there any hazards in the rear? Wires down. Rottweilers. I'm sure you guys got dogs like we got. And if nothing has changed, this is reported back to dispatch. It's going to take a while to get used to this, guys, because it's new. But like I said, as it's rolled along, it becomes second nature. I mean, we're calling now. We do the 360 done central, no change in strategy. Because we announced what we were doing before before we did the 360. You don't have to announce what you're doing. If you got nothing, if you can't figure it out, do the 360, then take the time to figure it out. I told my lieutenants, I go, an extra 10, 15 seconds at the scene before you start dropping line can save a big bunch of problems for the next 3 hours, if everybody just relaxes and calms down. Divisions, Alpha's the front of the building, and then we're gonna go clockwise around it. Bravo the left side, Charlie rear, and Delta the right. Basement as it is, basement, and then floor. Floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. Initially, we looked at possibly going Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and it was just, it would confuse people, we thought. So we just went floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. And these are interior. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta is outside of the building. At that point, we're trying to stop the thing from going somewhere. Like I said, the first IC, he's going to establish the incident command system. And it's usually that first company officer that's arriving on the scene. He's in charge. He can't be the chief officer if he's there first. And the hope is to set 2 to 3 companies into play. Like, you guys are like us, odds are Dom or whoever's F12 for the day is going to probably be the second, maybe the third company in. So even if by the time that first company gets started, dropping line, getting in position, Dom's probably pulling up. If not, as that line's being dropped, that lieutenant can be doing a 360, he can get to the back of the building, he can decide, okay, I want the truck to do this, I want the truck to do that. He can put that into play. And what I've told my guys too, before you pull up to the scene, call dispatch 2 to 3 houses before you get there. And by calling dispatch 2 to 3 houses before you get there, by the time they answer, you've hit 3 sides of that building. And that's from my own, when I was acting lieutenant, I'd pull up on the scene, I'd be calling dispatch, I'm calling dispatch, and here I'm sitting in front of the building, and everything's getting amped up on me. And at least it calms it down, and you can walk through the whole situation. And we always name the street, if you listen to us, we name it by the street command. And the purpose of that is if you have more than one incident going on. If you've got, like you had the factory going on 54th, so it'd be 54th Avenue Command, and then you get the house going on 50th Court, so it'd be 50th Court Command. It helps, for one, your dispatch, who they're talking to, plus it also helps out Division 11, so they know who they're talking to. Because if you just call ahead and say Cicero Command, Division 11 for Cicero Command, and like you guys had multiple extra alarms going, they have no clue who they're talking to. IC2, it's basically the chief officer that arrives, and he will assume command if it has to be done. Like I said, I don't know how you guys are doing it, and the way you guys do it, that's the way you do it. But this is basically how it's set up. IC2 only takes over if IC1 needs to have it taken over. Basically, the different ones that can be. On the transfer of command, Dom would basically go ahead and call whoever the lieutenant is that's in charge, or IC1. Command from F12, go ahead. You've got engine 2 there, you've got truck 1 here, you've got engine 3 here. Or, you know, whatever you guys got set up, that's correct. Okay, at that point, what we've instituted is give me a CAN report. And the reason that we've pushed guys to give a CAN report is that if he takes command, what's the first thing he's gonna do? He's gonna go to the hottest spot that's going on right now and try to find out what's going on. So he's gonna go right back to that engine and say, give me a CAN report. Oh, I got heavy fire, we're still trying to knock it down, I need another line in here. Well, that triggers in Dom's mind, okay, I need to get this up to a full still right away. By doing that right away on a transfer, Dom can go ahead, call dispatch, say, Central from F12, be advised, I'm assuming 54th Street Command, give me the full still. It's just something that we've learned as we've gone along that adds a little bit more to it to speed the process up. And it also alerts everybody on the scene that command that was basically in the building is now moved out to a stationary position. I said, the CAN report, what the present conditions are, what your actions are, and what your needs are. This also dictates to the guy that's running the fire, what you're telling me, is this matching up to what I'm seeing on the outside? You're telling me you've got the fire, but I can see basically black heavy smoke coming out of that attic. So something's not lining up right here. Or I can see it clearing up and you're confirming it. Yeah, we got the fire, it's knocked, we're good, we don't need anything right now. I put this one in here, because if you run a fire, basically this is what it's like inside your head. And I can tell you, it is. So hopefully eventually you're like that, if everything works right. It's okay with you guys, we'll spin into the next one, unless you guys want to take a break. I say, when I talked to Chad, I said, you know what, I thought it'd be better off if we go to buy-in instead of trying to just, it worked better by us instead of just saying, hey, this is what we're doing, boom, boom, boom. So, you guys have this in there. I'm gonna spin through this, not real fast, but we're not gonna do the sets and reps. That's gonna be for the future. Sets and reps are in there basically is buildings that are set up through software to burn. We have the first company officer on the scene go ahead and give what the description is, and then we do the transfers of command. It works. The more sets and reps, the more practice, it becomes a second nature. But I'm not gonna do that today. Like I said, we're looking for a buy-in. We're gonna go probably a month or so, and then I'll come back, and then you guys can really browbeat the hell out of me. Basically, you have 3 different levels: task level, tactical level, strategic level. Strategic task level is the most important level. Strategic level supports the other 2 levels. Task level is in the building. Tactical level is basically we're putting those officers on the in the hot zone, but they're overseeing the task level. With the strategic level, is the chiefs at the top of the thing, the whole umbrella effect of trying to figure out make sure everything's going right, and what's not going right, and if things need to be changed. The one I'm going to play here is the one from December. I don't know if any of you guys were there. I had the 3 houses going on the south side. I had people hanging off the roof. I pulled up. I didn't take command right away. I didn't give a proper size up. I pulled up on 37th, and I had the back of the buildings going, and I can see the quint coming down the block doing about 50 miles an hour. And so it was a couple of messed up things in the beginning. The other reason I bring this one up is our dispatch didn't hear me ask for a full still. I had to repeat and ask that. They didn't hear me. I had 2 different operators I was working with. They didn't hear me. The one didn't hear me give a staging area for the box. And then I also had 903, who does the engineer goes message received, and then they don't follow what I tell them to do. So I caught them in the nick of time. And it says on here, I'm sure you guys noticed, we don't have water. We're on one block, and then we're off to the next block. So we've had to specifically set up how we drop so we can get water to the fires. We're only put 1 engine on a block. The second engine, when you guys have been there, is a block away dropping 4-inch. We can only supply 1 engine on a block. That's it. We're with the railroad tracks, cut the town in half. Like I say, you're going to hear them say that there's an engine or there's a train coming out of the yards, or coming in a real slow one. I'm not going to play all of it.
Got a report of a fire, possibly a back porch, 3642 Wesley, 3642 Wesley, for 900, 901, 903, 904, 906. 3642 Wesley for the porch that's on fire. 3642 Wesley, 900, 901, 903,
First engine up, taking a 2.5 to the back. We got 2.5 to the back. The third engine in, dropped 4-inch, went to clearance, and then went into the 2 flat with lines. And they were my Delta exposure until I got a chief there. So they were fighting fires on 2 floors in that building. And then I had 5 people standing on the gutter line in the Alpha Delta corner. Some guy was pissed off and torched
Central 9 going 3642 Wesley.
torches in the rear.
Received, to be advised, caller from next door is advising it's a 2-flat apartment and he does not believe anyone's out yet.
It was 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's what you see. No tourist vehicle?
No, there was snow in the backyard.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But it was a bungalow, right?
It was a bungalow with a full
With a
addition
park.
put on the back.
903 and 904
And
around.
they'd taken the apartment, split it in half, with the only exits coming out the ass end of the building. So if they wouldn't have found a window on the side, they'd have been.
Central 901 and around, be advised incoming units. There's an inbound freight train moving very slowly. I don't know if it's open at Oak Park or not. Oak Park's open right now.
Central 900.
Go ahead, Central.
I've got a call on the phone saying there's 4 people trapped in the attic. They're unable to get out. 3642 Wesley.
Central upgrade to a full still set 902. Central, did you get that?
Here's my
Not
first
even start, sorry.
WTF.
What did you say?
What'd you say?
Upgraded to a full still set 902.
Alright, message received.
At least you can understand the dispatchers.
Yeah.
And
Number 906.
then you hear my line I'm
Alright,
gonna live with for the rest of my life.
We're gonna upgrade this to a full still. 3642 Wesley. 3642 Wesley for the full still for 900. We'll get 50 for the change. 10604.
Just figure it out, Berwyn system. Central, I got fire on the horizon.
That's the one I live with
Receive
for right
900.
now.
You got a tattoo that says that.
Yeah.
Just let's go for dollar one. We're gonna forward right in off 37th Street. That's in the building. And pick up Anderson right away. Central, I'm on the scene. I have a medium size, 2-story. Rear is totally involved. Can you get a whole divisional level? Give me a box.
Receive pounds for a box. Receive 605.
Hit the staging area, 37th and Old Park.
Central staging at 37th and Oak Park.
Copy that.
901, you want us to know Cynthia? 901 from 904, you want us to know Cynthia? Yeah, go ahead. We got you right on the corner here. We're on the scene where we basically northbound. Sorry, where to go?
Central 900.
All right.
Where would you like the staging to be for your box?
Get 37th and Old Park. It's a 2-story, 1.5-story house. I got heavy smoke out the front. I've got heavy fire out the rear. I got explosion bombs.
I didn't
I
take,
message received
I didn't take
37th and Oak Park for staging.
I didn't get a proper
How many
description.
blocks away was the staging? Isn't that? The fire's on Wesley,
Give me a
right?
minute. I got
Yeah.
people outside.
It was 2 blocks away. I put it, because I was worried about, we'd have to go to Oak Park possibly. We ended up going to Oak Park for water.
Oh, for supply.
They're better off staging at 39th Street, you got more room.
I don't force that.
You'll hear 903, I'll call 9, and then I'll stop it after I do call 903.
From command. Go ahead, command. Get a ladder, get the people off the roof on the Dolphin side. Message received.
Oh, who was command in the beginning?
Ray Fron, we all met like at the exact same time. But I never officially took command. There's 903, I'm trying to get.
Go ahead now, please. Go on the back, Dennis. You're gonna have to drop from 38th and hit Euclid.
And I said the wrong street.
That's the 3 feet.
I want 37th. And if you would have parroted it, I would have caught myself.
All you want to switch over to Fireground Red once we get these rescues made.
Yeah.
Dennis, we're gonna see now, there's our next house.
Receive 903.
903 is gonna back down.
You're coming out 3, you're coming in off of Euclid, I got 3 houses in the rear going. 903 from command. 903 from Euclid.
Got a report of a fire, possibly a back porch.
From that, I didn't establish command. So I screwed up there. I said the wrong street that I wanted the engine, the third engine to drop, or the second engine, third engine to drop down. Second engine to drop down, I apologize. If they would have parroted back, I would have caught myself then and said, no, 37th I want you to drop down from. At that point, we added the order model to our SOPs. That's what I said, our SOPs for this, our SOGs, I should say. It's not strict, it can fluctuate. You know what I mean, guys? Every fire's not gonna be exactly the same. We added these 4 lines into our SOG just as they are here. Message received, I mean, we still have some guys doing it, they're corrected when they do it, but I call Mike, Mike acknowledges I'm calling him, I tell him what I want, he gives me a Cliff Notes version of it. It's this way, I know, he knows what I want done, and if I say it wrong and it's not what I want, I can correct myself. Because if Dennis if they would have said, you want me to come down 38th? I'd have been, no, come down 37th and give me 2 lines to the rear of the building. So that's why we added the order model to our SOP. Here's basically, guys, the 6 different radio traffics that are gonna be done: the initial report, follow-up report. Assigning companies, which we're gonna talk about how they assign companies in a little while. The command transfer, if it's gotta be done. Like I say, if it's a working fire, command transfer is done. Report of smoke, nothing, alarms, accidents. We institute command system on accidents. Lieutenant gets on the scene, if you listen to us on the radio, he'll hold us up if we're not needed. It's a lot better than having us race all the way to the scene, possibly getting in an accident. If it's a situation where he needs it, I'll take it away, or he'll say, 900, can you take command? And I'll do it, and then we do the transfer. Can reports we talked about, and the shifts from offensive to defensive. Whenever there's a change in strategy, it's always reported to dispatch. 1, for the record, and 2, so everyone knows it. I got another one I'm going to play for you, a fast one. Tommy Hayes' fire on 16th Street. It's coming up. And when you listen to this, not even being there, you can tell exactly what he's got going on. And I'm telling you, I've been listening to you guys, well, I don't hear on this shift, but for some of the ones I've been hearing lately, I can tell exactly what you guys got. And believe it or not, I sit back and I'm smiling, because it's coming. It's coming. The entire incident command system runs off these 5 points. You have to realize what the critical fire ground factors are to be able to decide to risk manage it. Risk a lot, save a lot, risk a little, save a little. We're not risking nothing for anybody. Are we going offensive or defensive? What kind of incident action plan are we going to do to try to solve this situation? And then we're going to work off our tactical priorities and SOPs, SOGs. So I say the initial report, always clear the alarm first. I'm sure you guys have had it. Somebody gets on the scene, gives a description, and then dispatch turns around and says, "You got traffic?" You have to reach right through the radio and grab him by the throat. It's clear dispatch. It's the same order model. Clear dispatch, you call and tell them what they got. We've got our dispatch now parroting back what we're saying. For one, we don't have the greatest radios, and 2, it also cuts down everybody else talking so they can hear what's going on. Nobody's talking on top of each other. As soon as an engine gets on the scene, truck gets on the scene, whoever's on the scene first, everybody else shuts up and just waits and listens. Describe what you got. What are you doing? Do you need more resources? I don't know about you guys, but by us, an engine company can pull a box. He can pull a full still. You don't have to wait for me to get on the scene. How you guys do it's the way you do it. But that's what determining the resources. If he needs to go ahead and escalate the thing, or de-escalate it. Assume command with the name of the street. like I said, it ensures that you're on the proper radio channel. I told the one yesterday, I have no problem telling you about my screw-ups, because eventually, maybe somebody will see it and say, you know what, I ain't gonna do that stupid thing. Or maybe they'll realize, you know what, he's human. My first days as deputy chief back in '08, I get 2 garages going on the north ends, going to a coach house. We get done with that, we had switched over to Fireground Red. Middle of the night, we get an apartment building, some woman wants to torch the apartment building. I get there first, I thought I had gone back to our band. I'm calling in for Berwyn, and I'm on Division 11, or I'm on, your guys' band. I have Stickney telling me, Berwyn, you're on our band, and here I got companies wondering what the hell I'm doing in this building. So it's just little stuff like that. If I didn't give the full description, it'd have been lost in Never Never Land. So I was able to switch over right away. It also, like I said, alerts everybody that you're gonna give your first radio traffic. Everybody else is quiet. Nobody says a word. And also sets, as they call it, level 1 staging. Level 1 staging, we don't use there. I doubt you guys are gonna use it here. When we first initiated this whole program, we looked at what was gonna make it and what wasn't gonna make it. My whole goal was to try to get this adopted in the division. I figured it was gonna take probably 5 years. It was done in like 2 years. It was done after a couple of fires where a couple of chiefs said, hey, you know what, they're still burning the buildings to the ground, but at least they sound like they know what they're talking about. At that Wesley fire, I had engines pumping from Old Park Avenue 2 blocks away because of our water situation. The guys on Old Park Avenue knew where every single person was at that fire, where every group was. And that was our buy-in on my shift for this system. Level 1 staging basically is what you guys do, is what we do. Engine, truck, other engine in. That's level 1. Size, height, occupancy is one of these going to be. Small, medium, large, gigantic, mega. It's basically defined off of how much line goes in there. Question was brought up yesterday, why do I got to give the size? I can see the height, the occupancy, the problem. And what I related it back to is you guys go to Crop Forge. There's probably, I don't know how many buildings that are in there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got to fire a Crop Forge. Well, Dom on his way there is trying to figure out which building is it. Are you saying, okay, I've got a small 1-story that's not the whole, a factory that's going possibly. It also sets into play muscle memory for 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning when you don't have to think about it. So basically 170 feet inside is considered a small. Anywhere in the building, it's a small building. 3/4 of the building, we're talking, is a medium, and then a large. Half of the building, and then a mega, extra large, whatever you guys say want to call it. Is basically you're only going to get 1/4 of the building. Home Depot, Menards, that's a mega. And we'll talk about Menards and all that in a second. Height. I know we don't have these buildings in Cicero or Berwyn. The way mutual aid's going, you might eventually end up going out west. We had an ambulance in LaGrange Park the other day for their fire. All they did were blood pressures, which really set them off in rehab, but they might be paired up with another company. The importance of me putting in this here was like with the other fire, the 360. The front of the building, you've got a 1-story, the back, you've got a walkout basement. Now, if any of you guys remember back in the 80s when Pleasant View had the fatality. In the door to the floor, in the basement. They thought they were in the first floor, guys in the back are thinking that the guys up above, nobody knew about the walkout basement. And Glenn Mahalik cousin was in the basement. They could have gone through the basement, possibly got him up before he was killed. So that's the importance of it. Tinley Park, like I said, we don't have these buildings. I know a couple guys in Tinley Park, they've had them too. They go on the first floor, it's almost into the basement right away. Tilt slabs, you guys got a number of them. Big thing with the tilt slabs is these things are all held up at the top. Where are they gonna go when they release? Pancake out. These are basically 7 different types, guys. It's in the book. I'm not gonna, go through each one of them. But basically, like with this, by us, what are we calling it? Are we calling it a 20 by 20, 25 by 40 brick? Or are we just calling it a single-family residence or a house? We told our guys, if you get on the scene, it's a 1.5-story bungalow. Just call it that. Everybody knows what a bungalow is. The one on the right, raised ranch. Everybody knows what that is. What we do tell them, though, is they have to tell us if it's a frame. If they get on the scene, they've got 2.5-story frame, they better tell it when they get on there and give a description of it. Because if I got smoke, and you guys all know, smoke coming from the attic, where are we going? We're checking the basement right away to see if it's up in the channels. Or if we got a basement, we gotta get up into the attic to see if it's going. Multifamily. Darn. Too quick on the draw. Multifamily. 2-story, 2-flat. Apartment building, multifamily. We're not dictating you have to specifically call it this, but just give us a description. I'm on a scene, I've got a medium 2-flat. That's fine. At least I have an idea of what's going on. And even with the small, medium, large, it's not, you know what, you're estimating it. It's just an estimate of how much line might go in the building. The point of putting this one up here is you've got the standalone apartment complex. I know we don't have any of these, but I'm sure you guys have got apartment buildings like we've got, where it's the horseshoe that takes up a half a block, and then you guys got the underground walkways to get to the back of the building. Well, I consider an apartment complex, even though it's not shaped like that, because I can't put the truck in the front if I've got rescues in the back. Because God forbid if somebody gets off that rig and tries to take a 35-foot ladder and goes under one of them channels, because you can't do it. So basically, an apartment complex is more or less, you've got to figure out, in pre-planning in that, how are we going to stage equipment away from the scene before we commit ourselves to these types of situations. We've all got these, maybe not with the tile roofs, but we got exterior, we've got California styles. You got the single floor arrangements with the common attics. Also with the long hallways. What's the easiest way to get in some of the buildings? Some of them might be going, if you've got a fire on one second floor, if you've got a long hallway, maybe going from the outside, the apartment next door. From the outside. You know, I'm not even gonna go into tactics. We could be here all day. I'm not gonna keep you guys here. That always turns into a war when not a war, but it's like one of the disclaimers when I'm out there helping in Orland. There's like 20 of us that do it. Is we're not gonna talk tactics because we could be here all day. Townhouses. No, we don't have them. Forest Park, I'm guessing, has some. Basically, you're straight up. There's no access to the ones next door. Row houses. What looks like in the front is not going to look like in the rear. You've got basements in the back where you can't see them in the front. And then public assemblies. Strip malls, anchor stores, just descriptions of what's going on. And commercial. Usually that's some little storefront, everything's in the back of the place. It's locked up tighter than a drum. Institutionals. What we've told our guys too is you get on the scene, you're on the scene of Culver's. Everybody knows what Culver's looks like. We're on the scene of McDonald's. It ends I'm on the scene of a small 1-story restaurant, I got nothing showing, I'm on the scene of McDonald's, I got nothing showing. You know, I'm on the upper right, we even told them with the schools. By us, we know what our schools are. If it's a box, by that time a box, second alarm, incumbent companies, it's past that state. But you know what? Top one is Jefferson School. We just tell them, we're on the scene of Jefferson School. Everybody knows what that building looks like. We're on the scene of McNeil Hospital. It saves all the additional radio traffic.
But yet continuing on with your shop's model, even though it's not residential, if you're saying Burnham School, nothing showing,
right,
investigating, you're still continuing on with your shop's model.
It just saves the size and the height of the shop's model. Good point, Chad. Good point. four basic things you're gonna have. You have nothing showing, smoke showing, guys might say working fire. I'm not sure how you guys do it. Where's the location? Where is it, where's the smoke showing from? What floor it's from? Is it at one end of the building or the other end of the building? And we're always working off the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, not A, B, C, D. B can be construed for D, D can be construed for B. Main fire building, everything fans out from there. To the right side's Delta, left side's Bravo, up is Charlie. So if we get I got one building going, like in the one on Wesley, I put my engine 2 with the Delta exposure 1. Whenever they called me, they were Delta exposure 1. And I knew exactly who I was talking to. I had the bungalow to the south. I had Stickney, and I think I can't remember if you guys were in there. They were Bravo 1 exposure. Whenever they called command, it was Bravo 1 exposure. I knew who we were talking to. If I'd have lost that one, then gone to the next one, it'd be Delta 2 exposure. Or if I want to send you guys into a building, say it's a strip mall. I've got the main building going, I've got Bravo 1 going. Go into Bravo 2 and give me a CAN report. You know exactly when I want you in, I know exactly who's coming back. Instead of saying, command from engine 2. Then I gotta start thinking, where did I, engine 2, I gotta look down on my sheet, where did I send engine 2? I'm not gonna go through all of these guys, these are in there. It's basically with the nothing showing, working fire, smoke showing. These are in there, like I said. I'm gonna work with Chad, we're gonna take some pictures of houses in their town, and then with the software, we'll burn them.
Yeah.
That's the point of the 360, compared to seeing, to say that in the front, definitely a park. Oop, back working. Initial IC, 3 things in the incident action plan. There's always, it's a TLO, task, location, and objective. So when the first engine gets on the scene, if he's gonna assign somebody, he's gonna give him a task, where he wants it done, and what his objectives are. So if engine 2 is first on the scene, truck gets there, truck 1, truck 2 from command, go ahead. I need you to get to the second floor, give me a primary search for an all clear. Truck 2 is going to second floor, primary search, all clear. It may sound like a lot, but engine 2 knows where truck 2 is, truck 2 knows what their objective is. Also, the chief coming in knows, hey, I got truck 2 going to the second floor for a primary search. When he gets there, he doesn't have to start trying to play scramble. Where the hell is everybody? I gotta get this, and then something bad happens. It's always with the task, location, and the objective. These are different tasks that can be done. And there was a question not question, but it was talked about later. Why do I gotta tell the engine where he's gotta get his line from? And the point of that is if say Dom, he's got engine 2 already with a line off, engine 3 comes there. He wants that line off of engine 2 to back up. He wants that line off, and he wants engine 3 to take a line off engine 2 to back up engine 2 in the building. If he just tells engine 3, get me a line, well, that leaves the lieutenant up to engine 3 how he wants to get the line. Does he want to drop line? Does he want to take it from this rig? Maybe he can't, he can't do it, or it's going to take even longer. So by command telling him where to take that line from, it also lines up on his sheet, if he's to that point, where everybody is, where the lines are coming from. Instead of him looking out there and saying, holy Christ, engine 3's leading out down the block, I didn't want him to do that. Where it's also, where the location is. Like I said, you guys may think that this is micromanaging, it's not. It's accountability. The big thing is accountability in this entire scheme. Is we know where everybody is, and things are getting done the way we want them to get done. We're not telling you how to get it done. Different things that they're going to be asked for the CAN report. All clear. The all clear is basically primary search, or the secondary search. Do we have an all clear to this floor? Fire control, same thing, fire's out, and a lost stop is basically we're doing overhaul. Declaration of strategy, we're offensive and defensive. I didn't bring up yesterday, but I should have brought up, you can't have a split strategy, say like with a strip mall. You'll be defensive in the main fire building, but you're offensive in your exposures. But this has to be declared. You can't just be we're defensive and offensive at the same time. But not normally, you're either offensive or defensive. There's no playing both games. Someone's gonna get hurt or killed. Determining your resources, like I said, you can either cancel them, slow them down, you're assigning them, you're upgrading. Like I said, I'm not sure how you guys are set up. Our guys have the authority to do all of this. This here's Tommy Hayes' fire on 16th Street. He gets there pretty fast. I'll just play it, let you guys hear it. You're gonna hear a difference between, this is, like I say, this is a year into us doing it already.
You're going to report of a fire, 16th and Winona and 16th. The apartment building on the corner above a restaurant. No exact address. Due to respond 900, 902, 903, 904, 905, 16 in Winona. On the corner, apartment building above the restaurant. Timeout 1647.
Two 905, 902, 905. 900. 900 and one up from 902.
Message received.
If you listen, when you listen to this, you'll know exactly where he's got going.
Central 902, 16 to Winona.
Received.
16 to Winona.
Burn Central 900.
Central, hold your traffic. 900's approaching the scene. Central 900's on the scene. We have a medium two-story building with a working fire on the second floor, Delta side. 900, we're going to be in the offensive strategy. 900 is 16th Street Command.
900, you're on the scene, medium two-story building, working fire on the second floor, the Delta side. 900 is command.
905 is around.
905, 1649.
916's in a row.
916, message received.
907 from 906. All units, hold your traffic. 902 from command. Traffic for 902, hold up here. 902. Get down here, we're going to be offensive. Hold 905, we're moving to the second floor. Current Central 906 is in around at DMS.
You're going to reach.
My point of playing that one is, I mean, you can tell what he's got right away. He declared he was offensive, and he waited for that first engine to come on the scene. You cannot assign companies till they get there. And the point of not assigning companies till they get there is they may never even get there. So we're waiting for them to get on the scene, and we're telling them, when you approach the scene, call about a half a block ahead of time at least. So this gives whoever's running the scene time to either reposition you or give you the order. If you wait until you pull up on the scene and back down and wait, it's too late. It might lead you somewhere else, or guys are already amped up. It's a leeway, at least it gives it time for the officer to tell the guys what they need to get done. It's helped us out a lot.
You say you're
Go ahead.
in the area?
Yeah, yeah.
That would, That one never stated a 360 being done.
Right, he didn't. He eventually did. I was gonna stop it at that point. Right. I mean, we're not, like I said, we're not 100% there. You know, on my next one, when we come back, I'll bring you the, Scoville fire where I had the fatality. On that one there, I got on the scene, I called for the full still, I went to the back, I kicked the door open, I gave my, tried to get up, I couldn't get in, I gave my 360, no change in plans. Tommy eventually did give the 360. But you're right, Frank, he didn't very beginning.
Dispatch does a good job too.
Yeah.
Your dispatch
and-
did a good job.
Yeah, ours,
Well, here's,
it ain't gonna happen.
I'll be very honest with you guys.
We need the dispatchers to sit on this training, because like
I
yours,
totally agree.
yours answered back a couple with, one unit went en route and she said message received and gave them a time. Well, you know what, when I'm en route to a fire, I don't need the fucking time that I leave the house,
Right.
or the time that I'm en route. I don't need to know the time, I just need to know that you know that I'm on my way.
Right.
Just
I
Message
agree.
received.
I agree.
Yeah, and we got,
And
they're
see, the
speaking
thing
so
too, though, is,
quickly.
I've worked with our dispatch for the last 3 years, because initially, they've refused to do this. We don't have time for that, we don't have time for this, but then as they started to hear more of us talking, they were like, hey, what's going on there? We wanna know what's going on. Now they wanna come to our training, but we continue to work with them to get them to the point to where they're parroting us back.
What
So
does
it's
shop
gotten better.
stand for again?
What's that?
What does shop stand for again?
Size, height, occupancy problem, and what your strategy is. Chad's got, handouts, basically, it's not gonna come over. Guys, we've been at this for 3 years by us, and at times we still struggle.
Little cheat sheet?
Little cheat sheet.
Okay, that's good.
Pete is starting to work with dispatch so that we can get better at having them parrot stuff back.
Is our SOP still the first arriving truck is usually command, not the first officer?
We're working on that. We're gonna work on it.
Because if it's the first arriving officer, that leaves the engine company.
Correct.
One
Yeah.
guy.
There's some issues that we're trying to work through. So
Basically, Frank, with the guy that's,
But he's
the
not
first arriving
stationary
officer is
either.
still the guy that's running the fire. I mean, he might be, everybody's on top of everybody here. So there's like no 10-minute, 20-minute delay getting in here.
When you say he's got command, I mean, he's not outside. I mean,
No,
he's still.
that's what I wanna
right,
get
he's
to. what
not
Frank's
Still
saying.
doing our job.
You're
Right.
still doing your job.
Right.
Right. And by the time the other companies are getting there, you probably won't even be in the building yet.
Right.
But you're
Yeah.
setting up the other
I mean, like
companies
if we
coming.
pull up and there's like a fire, like in a bungalow, and it's, let's say Charlie side.
Yep.
Coming out of the rear, I'll say I see a fire in the Charlie side. We're stretching a line through the gangway, or going through the front door, whatever.
Yeah,
And then I mean,
You're command.
I got command, but I'm basically going in and we're gonna put out the fire.
right.
I mean, that's
And
then
you-
my limit to what
You're a
Gary would
working
be coming
command.
in and
You're
doing, or
working-
Frank is the truck.
You're a working
What am I gonna
command,
come in?
technically, you're a working
up.
command company.
Right.
But as soon as,
But I mean, until I'm
After
in
12
there,
months-
I don't know what I need him to do.
Exactly.
Or him to do.
exactly, and
know,
that's the whole
But
point
if
of
you're
the
on the second
system,
floor, you can say, hey, could you guys open this thing up?
Right.
and that's the whole
But I
point
mean,
of the
the
system.
point is, I'm not gonna know that until I'm in there.
Right,
Okay.
and that's the whole point of
Yeah,
the
you're
system,
mobile.
guys, is you may not want Frank to open the building up.
Right.
You may need, as bad as this may
Search
sound, you may need Frank to drag more line into the building with you so you can get at it. Besides, Frank's over there opening the building up, now you're waiting for the second engine company to get there. That's the point of putting you in charge for whoever is coming to help you in what you wanna get done until F-12 can get there,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
take over the situation,
And you're
get you
giving
out of
Dom
that
a
position.
picture of what's going on.
Right.
You know, get you out of that whole predicament. It's a shitty spot. It is.
Well, especially when you
I mean,
can't
when-
see, well, you gotta get your 360 done, you gotta get into attack the fire, I mean.
If the 360 is not done, Frank, then you just go ahead, no 360 is done.
360.
That's put on the next guy.
The next coming, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
put on F-12 then. You know, you gotta get that
No,
360
you're moving,
done.
man.
Because, you know, Herbie Johnson got killed. You know, guys are going up the front floor for an attack. You got the BC in the back telling them, hit it, knock the attic down. You know, they had offensive, defensive going at the exact same time. They didn't have command established. I'm not faulting anybody, it's been done before.
Sure.
Used to
you
happen
know,
here a lot.
And it's,
Sure.
you know, and they were already into the mode, you know, of multiple lines going. But what happens if you don't take command? Engine 2 then shows up.
Right. Then
And
you-
they decide, hey,
You're beating each other up.
let's knock it down before they get in there, and they, boom, they blast you. The clicker's dead, guys, so I'm gonna have to work off the arrows. Follow-up report, like I said, the 360, any change in the incident action plan. You may have initially said you were going offensive through alpha. Now, you decide you're going to 360, you got fire coming out the back end, you're gonna go through Charlie's side. This, like I said, it sets up accountability. The guys coming in know you're coming in through the rear of the building, you're not coming in through the front of the building. Worst case scenario, something happens, they know exactly where you are. Any immediate safety concerns that's going on in the back of the building that could be related on to the companies that are coming in. The big thing is accountability. It's the biggest thing. I've said it over and over. I never want to see NIOSH come to anybody that I know, because nothing good comes out of it. If you look at the NIOSH reports that come out, it's a list this long of stuff that they could have done to possibly prevent what had happened. 360s and basements. What's going on in the basement? Now, granted, we don't have the walkout basements. These are left in there from the program, but we all are seeing regular dimensional lumber along with
Lightweight.
different types. We've got the TGIs and web trusses. You know, more out west, they're seeing the web trusses and the TGIs, but they're in here too. I mean, I've gone in bungalows now where there's not a single wall in the bungalow, and I'm like, what the heck is this? You know, they stripped the entire first floor out and put in TGIs and web trusses.
What's the TJI?
It's basically it's a
laminated I-beam.
It's a laminate, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With
OSB
press board in
with-
between.
But
And
furry
they span it
strips?
across. So it's like, say, a 1x2, and then they take press board and they make an I-beam out of it.
Any failure of that bottom 2x3 or 2x4, whatever it is?
And they
Exactly.
burn
Right
good?
here. These things will burn,
They burn real good.
through, and the whole thing collapses.
And you got glue in there and
Yeah, it just comes apart. And now, you know, you got the game nails,
It's a lot more.
it just lets loose. That's why you see out in
Oh,
the
yeah.
western suburbs, if they got fire in
the
there,
shit
they
gets
go
wet.
on the roof.
It
It's over.
flakes. It swells and
Let
starts
it burn to
coming
the
apart.
ground.
They can span large
Area.
Yeah.
spaces with the TGIs.
Some of them up to 39 feet.
Yeah,
With the
I have a
one-
building that's 27 feet on a span
Yeah.
of TGI.
With the
Great for
14 inch.
construction, great for killing us. Basement types
Seen that on
walk-ups.
Bridge. Second floor.
The walkout,
That's
excuse
the
me, we talked
floors
about,
are the web truss.
basically it's a walkout on the back end of the building, the lookouts. Window wells we don't have around here, we have them out west. Another way to get killed or injured very bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, these are we're gonna set it up, like I said, with buildings in this town here. We'll set it up and then give it to you guys. I'm gonna show Chad in case some of you guys live here in town. I don't wanna burn your own building. I found out the wrong way. I did, the one end there is my mom's. I went ahead and I played with her house, cause I thought, hey, this would be good, I can use it. She ended up having a small fire on the second floor,
Ooh.
like 2 months later. So my wife even told me, what are you doing? You don't burn your mom's house. I'm like, I'm just messing around. She goes, don't you even take pictures of our house. So I promise I will not do that.
I have.
Follow-up reports, well, like I said, guys, it's just basically a buy-in today. We're not gonna go through this. The assigning the units. On deck is up there. It's something that I knew when we first started this program 3 years ago by us was not gonna work. Recycling wasn't gonna work. Eventually, I wanna get it into us. Now the guys by me are saying, why don't we have this? When they started understanding what it is. On deck basically is if you guys are there, I take engine 2 and I put them right there in front of Alpha. You're on deck. You're staged, ready to go to work. Recycling, it takes away the go get the bottle and then the company drifting off to somewhere else. Recycling is, you go ahead, you come out, you do a face-to-face with whoever's in there. That's the great thing about this program too. The on-deck company comes up, if you got a chief officer there, they do a face-to-face. Because what better way of not wasting time going in the building trying to figure out what the heck was going on. These guys do a face-to-face, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, we're about 25 feet in, fire's knocked, you guys just gotta do this or that. Oh, okay. They go in, they go get a bottle of water if it's there, and they come right back to where they were. That's recycling. For the sake of argument, and I'll say it that way, it's 2 recycles and then you're off to Never Never Land in rehab. I know it's different, but that's what I say. So on deck, our guys are looking for on deck. It also embeds, we're not getting rid of RIT, but it also embeds additional help right there on deck. If you've got a company that's got a problem that's going on in there, that company's not gonna leave or allow RIT. You're not gonna leave your guys in there and have a RIT company come in, right? It's been shown, Phoenix did it when they had the Brent Tarver back in the 90s. They sent RIT companies in there. They ended up having like 20 more Maydays from guys trying to go in there. What they found out is their on deck is basically their RIT. And like I said, we're not getting rid of RIT, but their on deck basically goes and assists the companies that are in there right there. So if 903's in there, they pull a Mayday. I've got F2 out, engine 2 outside right here. While I'm getting RIT ready, I can have engine 2 go in and assist them while it's going on. That's the point of the on deck. It keeps everybody in play. So that's something we're looking at possibly over there. I don't know if it's gonna happen. It's up to the chiefs. Anyway, on to what I was talking about. Task location and objectives. It's always done whenever somebody's given an order of what they need to be done. Once again, these are possible tasks. Like I said at the top there, where the hand line. The hand line has to be, you have to tell somebody where they're getting the hand line from. You're not micromanaging, but it's setting up for possible things in the future, and you know where that line's coming from. What floor? You know, am I going in exposures? Or who am I going to be reporting to? If it's already set up with floor 1, floor 2, if say that floor 2 wants a company, then I'm going to call floor 2 from command. Be advised you're getting engine 2 with the hand line from engine 1. I mean, it might sound like kind of goofy stuff, but that guy knows exactly where he's getting it and who he has coming. Like I said, it's accountability, guys. Through the objectives again, we already hit that. This one's kind of long, but this goes through the whole process of the transfer of command from the first lieutenant on the scene, first officer on the scene, to the chief taking over the scene. It says BC in there, it can be F12. Chad's updating all these for you guys, so it'll reflect Cicero. Basically, F12 gets on the scene, calls the first IC, confirms where everybody is. Very important for accountability purposes. He assumes command, calls dispatch, confirms that they are going to stay either offensive or defensive. If he can get that CAN report on the transfer, it helps him. Because like I said, if he doesn't, calls dispatch, first thing he's going to do is try to find out what's going on inside the building. You know, gets the CAN report, we're losing. Now he's got to call dispatch right back and up the alarm. If you guys got questions, I should have said in the beginning, just ask me. If I don't have an answer, I won't make it up, I'll try to find one. Conditions, actions, needs, once again. It's just giving an idea of what's going on up there. Whenever we exit buildings, we're calling for PARs by us now. We're asking for PARs. We want to make sure everyone's out of the building, whoever's in charge of that area has every single guy with him.
What are PARs?
You basically call it, it's a good question. Basically, what you're doing is, you come out of the building with your company, I want a PAR. It's a principal accountability. Personnel accountability. So what you're doing is, you're out of the building, I've got my 2 cars. You know, engine 2, give me a PAR. I've got PAR. I got my 2 guys. It's confirming. Go ahead, Chad.
And PAR means you have your physical guys with you, not,
Right.
yeah, I know he's in the building, I know he's okay. A PAR is right there, you can see them, you're with them.
I know, we did it in a
You
training.
already did it on the
but-
training, right,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
And a great thing would have been, I mean, not thin. Get the factory going. You got guys in other buildings. You decide to get them out of the building. command call, you know, whoever's in an exposure. On your exit, give me a par. That's telling me, I know you guys are all out of the building, there's not a straggler in the building, and then the whole building comes down on top of somebody. Like I said, we're gonna go through all these in the future, guys. I just more or less looking for the buy-in. Roof reports. Roof reports basically tells command what's going on. You know, if you can't see the roof, at least find out what's going on up on the roof. Peak roof, what's the conditions? I'm doing an inspection hole. I've got nothing in the attic. I've got heavy fire, we're opening the roof up. You know, it tells me what's going on above everybody's head. Firewalls. You know, if I've got 3 firewalls here, if I've got fire over in the far right corner, at least I know I should be able to stop it before it jumps across into this other section here. Air conditioning units, excess storage on the roof. Back in the 90s, I'm sure you remember, Frank, the Dominic's building in North Riverside. Friday afternoon, they were going to go ahead, they're going to put a whole new roof on. It starts raining, all that crap, they pile everything in the corner, they go home. Monday, they go in there to shop, the corner of the whole building collapsed. And you have people in there trapped. I mean, if our guys are going in the building, a roof report would tell them, stay the hell away from the Alpha Delta corner, you've got excessive storage on top of there. I know a lot of guys on this roof. But basically just what's happening in the attic. Strategic shifts, offensive, defensive, we all know the difference. Abandon and exit. Exit, we're pulling everything out, abandoning, horns, get the hell out of the building, and then we're looking for pars. Pars are big time when we're changing strategies. And then we're also calling dispatch, telling them, central from command, be advised we're now going defensive. For one, it's a time mark, and it's also everybody knows that we're doing it. Same thing if we switch back to offensive. I just put this one in here because, you know, everybody thinks their traffic's the most important traffic on the radio. You know, it's just, we have to have discipline, we have to know when to talk, and what we're gonna talk about before we start talking, guys.
And that, I know we don't have a big issue on this shift, but that doesn't mean, you know, you get and say, how many calls do we have on this? You know what? You don't need to know that. You don't need to broadcast that there's, you know, fire on the horizon.
Who's that?
I'm just saying.
Who's that?
We're not naming names, but your info is what's needed, not
I don't
everybody
even know what
else.
kind of color curtains are hanging in the house.
Correct, yeah.
Right. I got
Clear,
it.
concise, to the point.
2 more things, guys, and you're out of here. Finally, I know.
No biggie, that's a good class.
500 voices, and fresh tuck point, red brick.
It is, man. You gotta, what the fuck everybody's doing.
Let me find it fast here. This one here,
These are in your book, near the back.
we've hung
Or
this
your
up
cheat
in,
sheet.
we've hung this up in the firehouses just for guys to walk by and look at it. You know, at the bottom, Chad has it, you can turn it into engine 2 or whatever. It's got basically a description. It's got 903 on here. But these can be hung up in the firehouse. It's just something when you walk by, it starts jogging a memory.
Those cheat sheets that you guys have are actually just, I mean, you can have them for now, but they will be laminated, and then you can keep the books too. And we'll put them in the rig for you, so that as you're doing your size ups and going through the shops model, you'll have a little reminder to help you just in case you do need any additional help. Also in the books there's PowerPoints for stuff we're gonna cover in the future, but I gave it to you now so that if you wanted to start going through it, that you could have that opportunity to go through it.
This one's in there, guys. It's gonna be customized too for you guys with yours. But basically, this is what we use when we started doing sets and reps. We go left to right, boom, 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 it's all in order. We've given it to our dispatchers too. We laminated it on bigger sheets. Some of our dispatchers are using it, other ones are just typing it out. But this way, if it's done in the shops, the SHOPS, it flows across the sheet perfect. If you're jumping all over the place, I'm telling you, you can mess it up. can mess it up on the parity. But like I said, we gave this to our dispatchers for them to, keep it, and they've asked for it. Terminology review is in yours. Chad's updated this, to reflect Cicero, right?
Yep.
This basically, guys, is the entire thing of language in like 3 pages. It's, like I said, it was all the instructors out there teaching, put this together, and it covers everything that we talked about. And you could possibly think. With that, I'm done.
Oh,
Hey, Chad.
that was painless.
You guys,
Yeah,
you guys have any
get you
questions
guys out of here
for Paul?
fast. I'm not gonna shove it down your throats.
When are they gonna implement
You were
this?
talking about the on deck.
Starting.
Fucking right
Go
now.
ahead, working on your
Ninja
shops.
two's on deck,
Yeah.
If you don't do it, you're gonna get rid of it.
and Ninja two's supposed to be your rig, right? Correct?
Frank, the negativity, bro. Come
They
on.
don't like talk about this face to face. Engine 3 goes to get water or whatever, and then Ninja 2 goes inside. Who's on deck?
So this shop
Basically,
is
if
gonna
you,
replace laptops.
we, at that point, I only went one
Is that
deep.
eight?
You're hoping to have 2 more companies.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you'd have like a pre-on deck. and a
Exactly.
on deck.
So everybody would move up. One thing I did forget about, guys, and I apologize about this, is we didn't really go into sector division groups.
Guys, listen up.
Is basically when we're talking, when we put a chief, I'll division it off when I have 2 or more companies together. So, you know, if Mike and Frank are together on the 2nd floor, doing whatever, instead of them battling over who's gonna be doing what or that, I'll just call Frank, tell Frank, you're floor 2. And then Frank is in charge of floor 2. Okay? And then whenever I ask a can report, it's just gonna be floor 2 from command. Yeah, go ahead, command. Give me a can report. Or, whatever goes back and forth, he's in charge on that 2nd floor. He's doing face-to-face with Mike, and then he's relaying traffic back on. It cuts the traffic down. 3 or more companies together, I put a chief, we gotta get a chief in there. His span of control is out the window. There's too many companies together, and then at that point, if I don't have a chief to put in there, then I just give Frank floor 2, tell him, assign your companies to somebody else, and he's running that 2nd floor. Does that make sense, guys?
And
But if you get a
communication
chief
goes
up
through
there, go ahead, Jim.
Communication goes through that chief,
Yes,
not to incident commander.
right.
It goes to the floor 2
It goes to the
command.
floor chief. So if that chief's on the 2nd floor, then he's talking to Frank, he's talking to Mike, he's talking to Noah. Boom, boom, boom. And everything goes through that one guy. It cuts down traffic immensely.
Don't tell them.
And with that, now I am done.
Alright. Any questions?
Got him? Let Chad know. I'll gladly answer them, guys. Believe me, I've heard about every possible question there can be in 2 years, year and a half.